Well, we're still here at Parliament House. I'm talking now to Thomas Lowrie. He is the Centenary Professor at the University of Canberra. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Alex.
Now, you're also the Director of the University's STEM Education Research Centre. Can you please tell us a little bit about your work there?
Well, firstly, STEM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics.
And what about that new one called STEAM? What does that add?
So that has the arts in it as well.
Okay,
and we actually agree with that
Yeah.
for lots of reasons, and it's because the work that we do, it doesn't focus on the content. And so whether it's science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or arts, if you want it to be STEAM, we think that the practices and of being a person in that profession is more important to consider and to study. And so what we focus on, what sorts of common elements these professions have, and what we need to do to work with children and to work with teachers in order to ensure that they're ready for the future.
And is your work at the Research Centre being applied across schools and universities around Australia and the world?
That's right. So much of the work that we're doing is around the ACT region from our local footprint.
Yeah, which makes sense, yeah.
Very good connections with the Archdiocese of Canberra-Goulburn and the Department of Education in the ACT. But we have very strong links with Indonesia, and we're working in remote communities in West Nusa Tenggara, which is one of the poorest and most challenging provinces in Indonesia to be in. And we're doing a lot of work at the University of California in Santa Barbara with colleagues there who are specialising in spatial reasoning. And so we have this connection between Indonesia and the US and Canberra. So that's our magic triangle.
Sure. Now, we've just had a presentation which you were part of, talking about your centre's research along with Samsung on a STEM research program with a lot of schools as well. Can you tell us just in brief what sort of that encapsulated, what it was about, and what were some of the most interesting learnings for yourself and for the students and teachers?
Yeah, sure, Alex. So that project focused on spatial reasoning, which is one of the STEM practices that's really important across all of the STEM or STEAM or any other acronym you want. This ability to be able to understand space and navigate in space is critical if you are a builder, an architect, an artist, an engineer, a mathematician, somebody who's a coder in technology, or someone who's doing understanding about chemicals or products in science. So for all of that, this one thing called spatial reasoning is absolutely critical, and in fact it is the best predictor of a person going into any of those professions. So if you're good at this stuff, you're really good. You've got much more likely to move into that profession once you have finished school. So
we're in Parliament House, and those are the bells. Actually, one of the examples you gave, and please keep going, but was of being the navigator for your father. I was a navigator too, looking at the maps, and I used to recall that one day we'd have this magic box that would just tell us where to go, and we have it now.
Right.
But that, of course, is affecting some of our ability to think spatially, because we're just relying upon a black box of technology.
That's right. So when I was young, I was in charge of reading the maps, and when we went into a different town or a different city, we had to get it was called the Gregories, which older folk will remember.
Or the UBD. No, very well. The little kids will say, "What's that?"
That's right. And so there was this magic book that had all of these different maps in it, and you had to be able to navigate your way through.
And turn it upside down.
Turn it upside down. And if your spatial reasoning isn't good, you're more likely to turn it upside down.
Sure.
But if you've got really good spatial reasoning, sometimes you can not need to turn it upside down because you can navigate yourself, as I'm sure you did, Alex.
That's right.
When you were the navigator too. But with technology now, and in fact some of the things that are even built into cars now, the map's already there. We don't have to think about it anymore. So we have a challenge of the things that were naturally practiced aren't practiced anymore. And if we're not careful, all these really important skills that we did when we were young are going away because we have the technology to actually help us. Ironically, we're working with Samsung, who are a technology company, to try to work with that challenging task. And what we've been able to do with Samsung is use the technology in ways that really do challenge the children to think about space, inside space and outside space, in very different ways. And so the concrete materials, practicing with your hands, that tacit learning is critical, but then we use the tablets and the technology for the children to do discovery work and to play with all different things. So an analogy might be, if you're doing origami,
which I loved as a child,
and once you've made that shape, or you might have been able to do 2 or 3 folds, and you've built your swan, which is one classic example. Once you've done that swan, you need another piece of paper to develop another swan. And so in a classroom situation, you might get 2 or 3 chances. If you have that same product on a tablet, which we're able to do with Samsung, the children could create a whole lot of different variations of the origami, and they'll be challenging themselves spatially to do things that go well beyond what they could have done with the concrete. The concrete's important, and we never have to take that away because it's critical. But having that ability to have that flexibility in the digital environment was most helpful. And in fact, the children really enjoyed that more, and they had a lot of fun. And so having fun in mathematics is sometimes unusual, but with our program, the children wanted to do the maths, and so that's something that we are really passionate about, and it completely changes the whole view of what mathematics and indeed what some STEM practices are all about.
So clearly, you're the STEM Research Centre, so the research is ongoing, but will you be doing more work with Samsung?
We hope so. We hope so. And so what we've been able to do is build this really compelling 3-week program. And what we think now is that we need to, that if the program was longer, I think our results would be even better. So we had staggering results where the children didn't do a lot of mathematics for 3 weeks, and they did our spatial reasoning program instead, but their mathematics performance improved about as much as what you would normally expect a child to improve in 12 months.
From memory, it was 20% improvement,
20% improvement
compared to a control group of only about 4%.
That's
so
right.
it was a genuine
empirical study, and the results were quite mind-blowing for us, but reassuring that what we're doing in the program works. So we can only imagine if we have, say, a 6 weeks program, what might happen.
And clearly technology has been used in schools for a long time. I mean, I remember in 1983, I was in, or 84, I was in year 4, and we had Apple IIs there in the classroom for the first time. But I mean, technology today, it's used by every student, they've all got tablets. So this clearly is showing that using technology more effectively can deliver a better result, and presumably schools aren't doing that.
Right.
As well as they should be.
Yeah, so we call it purposeful use of technology, and so it's using technology for in times when you can't use anything else, and that's how we try and think about it. So we're always challenging ourselves, use the technology when it's better than if you didn't have the technology there. But unfortunately what tends to happen is, if the technology is present, we make up reasons to use the technology, and so therefore it's not purposeful. So our view is that it's a mechanism and a means to make things easier for us, but we have to use it for its purpose and for it to be helpful, rather than it just being there and doing it because you feel the need because everyone else is doing it.
Sure. So with all the virtual reality headsets and augmented reality and tablets and all the research on STEM, how do you think education might look like in a decade?
Well, I mean, I heard something the other day that said that within 5 years, Australia, it's likely that we'll have taxis in Australia with a driverless.
Yeah, I mean, they have it in Singapore already. In one part, in the quiet part, they've already got it.
Yeah, and so as a result, it just shows you that from a spatial perspective, things are going to move much faster than they have before.
I don't think we'll ever have teacherless classrooms, though.
I don't think we will. And education moves very slowly.
Yeah.
But the technology is meaning that and the current technology advances mean that education is going to move quicker than it's ever moved before.
Yeah, well, I mean, often you've heard it said that the students know more than the teacher, but I think everyone's catching up now.
Everyone's catching up together, and now the schools are catching up to the parents. So what's happened for at least the last 10 years is the technological advances that they have at home are far superior than what happens at school.
Yeah.
But because costs are coming down, and even with some of these incredibly new technologies, the prices are coming down really, really quickly. So the $5,000 TVs that are now $1,000, some of these devices now are $200 or $300 and are accessible, so the schools can have the affordances that can almost match what you have at home.
So as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing just to share the best piece of advice you've ever received to help you get where you are today.
I love this question. I love this question, and for many reasons, I think the best piece of advice I've ever had was to stay with things you're passionate about. And so, if you're passionate, you're more likely to do well, and I guess that helps you be resilient, because if you're passionate about something and it doesn't work all the time, which happens to me a lot.
You'll stick with it, right? Because you're passionate about it.
That's right. And so I get lots of rejections and lots of particularly from journals, but I try for the highest journals all the time, and if I don't succeed, I have to keep trying, and that's really important. So that's one thing. The second thing is to remember where you came from.
Yeah.
So I came from a family where no one had been to university, and I was actually the first to graduate from my family, and my parents sort of said to me, you got to work hard and try hard, and if you do those two things, and you believe in yourself and you support people around you, you will do pretty well.
And-
but the number one thing is get a good team around you.
Yeah, and in fact,
in the
go on.
end, that matters more than anything. So I'm fortunate enough to have a brilliant team around me, far brighter than I, and far more passionate at times than I am, and that helps build one another so that we can support one another in that way.
And in fact, the research from this particular project with the university and Samsung, you're publishing it in a British journal.
That's right. So the British Journal of Educational Psychology accepted our paper, which we're really happy about, and we just put another one in another manuscript in Learning and Instruction, which is another high-performing journal. So we're trying to put our work in the best journals, so it's accessible, and because the better the journal, the more likely someone will read it. And
Sure,
so it's,
absolutely.
From that perspective, we're trying to do what we should be doing, and that's reaching for the stars, I guess.
Absolutely. And so do you have any final messages for ITY viewers and readers and for students and teachers watching?
Well, I think one thing that came out of our project was how good teachers are, and sometimes it's easy in our society to knock teachers and to say that they aren't as good as they used to be. Well, it's not true. The teachers in our program were just incredible people, amazingly passionate, incredibly committed, and they got the children hooked. And if teachers get children hooked in things and let children fly, which is what these teachers did, the children will never forget this program. It only went for 3 weeks, but I guarantee that even when they're as old as me, they'll remember that program that they did, and that's what learning's all about, and that's what teaching's all about too.
Great. Thomas, thank you so much. Best of luck with all the journals, and I hope you can be doing more of this research in the future.
Thanks for your time, Alex.
Thank you.